Hi everyone, and welcome to day 2 of Pax West, I believe. And we've now I would have done this the day of with the panels and stuff like that. We're still getting cards coming out today, so constantly refreshing the pages, things along those lines. We'll have more cards tomorrow. We'll have a Planeswalker revealed tomorrow. We know that, or Monday, one of the two. We'll have it by sometime in the weekend. But, yeah, we have the Kaladesh panel previews, all that stuff going on. Now, I can't cover everything. I can't go into, story details, or I'm not going to cover specifics about the set unless a card details it. So I got to keep it as limited as possible while still going over everything we've gone over. So we got cards, planeswalkers, mechanics, a whole shebang. So we're going over it all. And what better place to start than with the card I used to preview I made the thumbnail with, Shaheeli Rai, and it's pronounced rye like rye bread, rye the drink. And Shaheeli Rai, and for those of you for some reason who have not seen the Planeswalker card, there she is. Ooh, wait a minute, there she is. How fucking gorgeous is that art? How gorgeous is that artwork? My God, this is going to be one of the most beautiful planes we have ever been on. Period. And she is a Planeswalker, a red-blue Planeswalker, 1 red, 1 blue, 1 generic. 3 loyalty starting out with, so she's 3 for 3. +1 is Scry 1, and she then deals 1 damage to each player. So right there, very relevant ability. You can tutor basically yourself to see what card you want, basically see the future of your deck, and basically strategize ahead of time. Plus, you can deal a little extra damage. I think it might be better if it did damage to creatures to kind of give her a little bit of protection, but then I think she'd actually be way too OP. Plus, she can damage planeswalkers, so that's fine. -2 ability. Create a token as a copy of a target artifact or creature you control, except it's an artifact in addition to its other types. Your token gains haste. Exile it at the beginning of the next end step. So, and then -7. Search your library for up to 3 artifact cards with different names. Put them into your battlefield and shuffle your library. I have a feeling most people aren't going to be getting to the -7 ability very often, because she does start at 3. That means you got to get to 4 turns to get the loyalty of 7 without having used your -2 ability. And then on the next turn, you can either pay it again to possibly get it 8 and maybe your protector, and then get the 7, or you'll just use, if you're trying to get all the way to her ultimate, I would imagine you're just going to use the 7. But an ultimate's cool. All the ultimates for planeswalkers these days, if you get to use them, are good abilities. There's no doubt about that. However, what the problem with this is, she doesn't have. I mean, you can make a token of a creature or artifact you control. That's a fine ability to have. It has haste. You can tack in real quick and then move on. But it moves on. There's no She has no way of protecting herself really at all. She's completely and utterly defenseless on her own right. If you play, one of the key things of a planeswalker is, one, is its +1 ability relevant, or does its +1 ability do something that does have an active effect? But 2, more importantly, can it defend itself? And she doesn't meet the defending herself part really at all. She needs, granted, she's cheap. The beauty of that is if you're like a 5-mana planeswalker, then I'd definitely argue for her just not being worth it, because at that point people are going to have bigger creatures out in the field. But because she's 3 mana, because you'll probably have, especially with some of the stuff we'll get to in the set in a little bit that we know so far, because you'll have small things to make me 1 drop or 2 drops, 3 drops. You can get her, technically you can get her out in turn 3, but you might play her turn 4. Make sure you have something to keep her protected, and then use shenanigans. She's not a planeswalker that you use just on her own. She's a planeswalker that, she's kind of like Narset. You don't use her on her own. She can't technically protect herself on her own, but she is very valuable in the niche that she is in. So that's Shaheeli Rai. I see good things for her in Commander, definitely, because Commander, it's all about singles. Then we had one that was spoiled immediately afterwards. Well, not immediately. Well, no, yeah, about immediately afterwards. Actually, it was spoiled the day before, I should actually rephrase. Inventor Sphere. It's a legendary land. It also illustrates as MegaStory.com and Story Spotlight number 5. They're now illustrating what cards are story points in the set, and I think that's really cool. Inventor Sphere, though, at the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 3 or more artifacts, you gain 1 life. Metalcraft, without saying that, Metalcraft, perfectly fine. Add 1 color spawn to your mana pool. Now, if you pay 4 and then tap and sacrifice Inventor Sphere, search your library for why did this thing just I don't know why that happened. Sorry. And again, I'm certain most of you have already seen these cards, but always better to illustrate than not have it on. Put it into your hand, then shuffle your library and reveal. Activate this only if you control. So basically, Metalcraft again. So make sure I am showing this correctly. Here's the art. Ooh, there we go. There's the art. Again, beautiful art. And this is just the tip of the iceberg here. So beautiful art we're getting in this set. Absolutely. The card itself, perfectly fine, but it's a niche card. I mean, a lot of these are going to be niche cards for... This is particularly a niche card because it needs artifacts. If you're not running a heavy amount of artifacts, don't bother running that card. Don't bother running it at all. Because there's far better cards you can get 1 mana for. Or pay 1 colorless mana. Come on. It would seem that... sorry, the MTG Salvation where I am on right now is being a little difficult with loading on my phone. But I'm perfectly fine. And there it goes again. And not the one I wanted. Sorry. Wackiness all around. Anyway, we'll move on because that's not the card I was going to talk about anyway. We have Furious Reprisal. Now, it's... Assuming I can't get the art up on my phone. 1 second. We're just going to be slow about it. Be slow. Be cool. Be cool. Okay, I can't get the art. So Furious Reprisal. Obviously, this is Chandra's home plane. She's... and I believe that her card's name is called Chandra Torch of Defiance, so that should be interesting. Furious Reprisal. 3 generic, 1 red. Sorcery. Deals 2 damage to each of 2 target creatures or players. So now that end of the text is... Now that's the Chandra I've been waiting to see, because it's by Liliana Vess, which... 1 second. Just want to make sure I have to go rotating back and forth here, but... There it is. Great art. Great art. I love the look of the fire in that. Card-wise, it's a fine card. You'll do 2 damage to either a player or creature, to either 2 creatures. If you're in a multi-game, 2 players. That being said, though, I don't know if that ruling, because it's target each of 2 target creatures or players. I mean, could you target a creature twice? I think you can, but that's just a ruling thing I'd have to check with the judges about when if I ever play the card. But there we go. Yeah. But the point remains is that the more interesting part is the flavor text on it. Now, we're not getting a Liliana Vess card in this set. That's just a get, because as far as we know, Amonkhet actually has one of the next demons that she needs to kill for her contract. So basically to save herself. So it would make no sense to have Liliana in this set, especially after we just had her in the last set. It's just you're oversaturating Liliana. That's not the way you go. You don't. It's like Jace was in Zendikar in the story, but he was not in as a card form. Then Jace was he was a prime player in that story, but he wasn't in the didn't have a card then. He's a prime player in Istra, but he's in a way where he actually is key to the plot that he needs a card. So I don't think we're gonna get. I mean, we could get Jace. Actually, timeline-wise, because we just had Chandra in the Battle for Zendikar as well, and we had Nissa, and it's looking like the Green Walker might be Nissa, because Nissa's going after Chandra too, so she's going to help too. So, I mean, maybe it'd be interesting to see how she interacts with the elves on this plane. And why? That's not the card I want to freaking enlarge. Why do you keep giving me the card I don't want to enlarge? But it's I don't freaking because the touchscreen on my phone apparently is so sensitive that it's constantly, the moment I'm trying to keep scrolling back towards more cards, it's constantly just enlarging the card I touched immediately to scroll the screen. But anyway, point being is that we're getting Liliana. So Liliana, I think, is just there for the story purposes, just kind of like how the Gatewatch all showed up in Innistrad, even though only Liliana and Jace were the ones who got a card. And which begs the question: another Jace and Amonkhet? I'm kind of again don't think so. Gideon, maybe Gideon could show up, but it'd be weird. That'd be an interesting pairing, Gideon and Liliana, especially since they're so different. But moving on, it's a decent card. I just like the flavor of it more. Now we have one of the new mechanics. Now, Aetherworks Marvel is a four of any color legendary artifact. Whenever your permanent you control is put into the graveyard, you get an energy counter. And make sure we get the art here. There we go. The energy Aetherworks and then energy counters, which as you can see right there, the energy counters got these little symbols here. I believe there are little lightning bolts in these. Don't know exactly what the shape's supposed to be. Kind of like a star, but not exactly a hexagon thing. But essentially, energy is a new mechanic in the game. Now, and the way energy works is a bunch of cards, and so far I've been seeing a lot of cards. You can make an energy deck easy, honestly. So just from the cards we have here. Nope, you do not do that. But the way energy more or less works is that effects give you energy counters. Now, the energy counter doesn't stay on the card that made the energy counter. I mean, there might be a couple that... Now, as far as I can tell, the way energy works, that's not the way it works. The way energy works is whenever it's like poison counters. You yourself get the counters. There's multiple cards that produce energy counters. Like this one produces it. Whenever a permanent you control is put into the graveyard, you get an energy counter. And then any card can pay a certain amount of energy counters. In this case, this card can pay 6 energy counters. So look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may cast a card from among them without paying its mana cost and put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. That is, well, first off, the card itself, very decent, very good. I mean, 6, between all the energy counter creation we already have that I can tell, because we're going to get to some more in a little bit. It's pretty easy when you just tap it and pay the 6, and then yeah. But you can't. But obviously you can constantly get it. Anyone who uses Proliferate, the Proliferate will come back in in the formats that use Proliferate, will come back in a big way for energy decks. I have a couple of cards that I could easily slip into an energy deck. So I look forward to seeing how energy is going to play out. Then we have Propeller Pioneer. I'm not going to bother showing you the. I mean, I could show you the art without actually enlarging. In fact, maybe that's what I should just be doing is not bother to enlarge the picture because that's just giving me more trouble than it's worth. But we have Propeller Pioneer. Try saying that 5 times cells. Propeller Pioneer. Yeah, I can't even say it the first time fast. Propeller Pioneer. Now, this introduced the ability Fabricate. Now, this card is a 3 generic 1 white, 2/1 flying human artificer. Fabricate, it always has a number attached with it. Fabricate 1 in this case. When this creature enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on it, or create a 1/1 colorless servo artifact token. Now, as they said, Thoropters are still in here, and they experimented with Thoropters for this effect, but they just felt servos would be a bit more entertaining. Thoropters would have flying too, and that would immediately make these, I think, a little too haxed, in all honesty, if they just continually made flyers, because that's evasion, not the yin-yang. Perfectly fine. I like these kind of effects because it's a choose your effect, and you get the choice. It's not like the tribute, which was the opponent's choice. Those effects are always traps usually, though I like some tribute cards. But Fabricate, I think, is a pretty cool mechanic. That means this thing either is a 3/2 space between 2 creatures, or just a 3/2 flyer. So if you need to hit in with a bit of extra power, you can make him a 3/2. If you need a little extra blocking, or just you're able to get out early, throw it out into the battlefield. I can see fun stuff. I'm sure there's probably like a 1 or 2 drop. I know there is a 2 drop. I think I think he's a 3 drop. I think he's a generic Fabricator, but still, and freaking screen. Anyway, and then we move on to the other new one, like one of the other big mechanics on the set is that vehicles. Vehicles are a thing. Now, the way vehicles work, and there we go. Oh, for the love of, I hate doing this on my phone sometimes because the site is so freaking finicky with me. This damn touchpad. Okay. It's like, seriously, dude, chill out. It's like, but now it's irritating. It's like, okay, now I was actually telling the site to calm down. Okay, there we go. Okay, so first vehicle, we got like 3 vehicles or 4 vehicles actually spoiled so far. We have Old Chase Dragster, which is a 4 generic artifact vehicle. It has a power of 6 toughness, 1 defense, or 6 power, 1 toughness, and oh man, this is going to be annoying because my phone is doing that thing where it's going. My phone's kind of gotten wonky in the past month, so it kind of just goes to this rainbow screen at random now, and just anyway. Point being is that it has trample and haste, but it's not an artifact creature. The way it becomes an artifact creature is to tap any number. In this case, it has crew 1, which is tap any number of creatures with total power of 1 or more, and like Suros in this case, and this becomes an artifact creature till the end of turn. In the case of this, you play it on turn 4. You play it whenever you play it, and you tap down a creature, and you can immediately attack with this 6/1. Hence why it's a 4. It's an uncommon for a reason. It's a 6/1 basically creature, almost guaranteed, because it has haste and trample. We have other examples of that though, where, for instance, we're going to go move over to Sky Sovereign Council flagship with a mythic rare vehicle, and we're going to show that baby off. And you really, you serious? Right when I'm about to show off the cards, you go to that damn screen. Oh, you suck. Sorry. I'm sorry for the constant back and forth here, but this thing is really being finicky today. Like really bad finicky today. It's not even when it's going back and forth. It's not usually this bad. So anyway, okay, now stay. Let me show off the card. Okay, there we go. Sky Sovereign, I believe it, yeah. Sky Sovereign's Council flying ship. This one is a crew 3, but it's a mythic. It's a 6/5 flying. Whenever Sovereign's Council flag enters the battlefield, right off the bat, and for 5 mana, you're getting 3 damage to a creature or planeswalker, or when it attacks, deals damage to 3 damage to target creature or planeswalker. Or opponent controls. Yeah, that's a pretty boss kind of ship right there. That's a pretty awesome card. I can understand why it's mythic. Now, the only problem I'm gonna maybe see with the crew mechanic. Now, the crew mechanic's not like Soulbond. You don't like play it and you have to crew a creature the minute you play the card. You can wait any time you have a creature to play the card. So that's got that benefit. So I don't know. Maybe it'll play well. I hope it plays well because it seems like a cool mechanic. Then we have a new creature type called Aetherborns, Rogues. Gonti, Lord of Luxury, is a 2 generic, 2 black, and I'm going to show off his art real quick before the damn screen goes wonky on me again. And there he is. Yeah, look at that. Yeah, look at that guy. And Aetherborn, Death Touch, 2/3. When he enters the battlefield, look at the top 4 cards of target opponent's library. Exile 1 of them face down. Put the rest on the bottom of the library in random order. For as long as this card remains exiled, you may look, or for as long as that card remains exiled, you may look at it. You may cast it, and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast it. Now, that's pretty good. As long as he's on the obviously it's one of those conditional things. He's on the battlefield, he gets killed, whatever. That being said, you bring him back, it's still good. The card stays exiled. But that being said, I've actually heard people just bring out some nasty ideas like blinking him. The card stays exiled. He comes back into the battlefield, and you get to use that effect again. Like Cloud Shift and constant blinking effects. Restoration Angel, I believe that's the card. That gets kind of fucking that gets kind of mean real quick. Yeah, I mean, I dig these kind of cards a lot. I could definitely see putting him in in my black-white deck and just altering it up a bit to do some blinking stuff. I can see that I can see that being really fun. Then we have Dipala, a pilot exemplar. 1 generic, 1 red, 1 white. 3/3 dwarf pilot. The dwarves are back, folks, and we are very happy for that. And there she is. I had to show off to Mark because he was talking about pirates. I'm like, this is kind of like a pirate. She's a pilot. Pirate pilot. And she's basically she's a dwarf lord. She is a vehicle lord. And whenever she becomes tapped, you may pay X. If you do, reveal the top X cards of your library, put all dwarf and vehicle cards among them into your hand, and put the rest on the bottom of your library in random order. She's 3 power, meaning you can already get her off with the Skyship Sovereign. You can already do that. Tap her. Obviously, you're tapping her. When she becomes tapped, you're either attacking, but you're more or less using her for the her piloting abilities, her using her for vehicles, which also turns the Skyship into a 7/6 flying. Just burn you. And then you're tapping a certain amount of mana, look at a certain amount of cards, and get any dwarves or vehicles from that. This card is a very good card in the deck. It gets put in dwarves, and that's the thing too. It doesn't need to go into a combination of both, though it can. It can be one or the other, and you can have other stuff. There's so much versatility in this card. I love it. Loving everything from the set. And the colors getting vibrant. Architect of the Untamed, another card that uses energy. This one uses basically the max they say is about 8 you'll see on a card. And this one uses 8 energy. Basically, whenever it's a 2 generic, 1 green, so 3 mana in total, 2/3. A lot of 2/3s I've noticed in this set so far. Whenever land enters the battlefield, you may, under your control, is it under the battlefield under your control, or is it, that's a good question, or is it in general? Because if it's in general, that thing's going to have a lot more punch to it. I think it's just under your control, I think. 1 second. Loading. It's still loading because it did the thing. Yeah, under your control. So it is a little limited. Commander players are going to have a lot of fun with it because it's going to have a lot of land with it. But again, a Narcotic Jets at land. Land's what you do. You get it on turn 3, easy, or maybe turn 2 if you're lucky, and then just land, hey, energy, land, hey, energy, land, hey, energy. Land is something you're always going to be playing in Magic almost all the time. So right there, great card. And then when you pay the 8, you get a 6/6 green or colorless beast artifact creature token. Perfectly fine, perfectly good. Get your beat stick kind of thing. Then we move on to one of my favorite cards. Not just because it's green blue, even though I love green blue in it. Anytime I see a green blue mythic, I'm like, ooh, what am I getting this time? And in this time, I am getting pretty much Cascade. I'm getting pseudo Cascade on a stick. It's a 2 generic. It's a Rashmi Eternity's Crafter. She was actually featured in the story with Shaheeli Rai. She's the friend of hers who actually developed basically the transporter that might go into the Blind Eternity. So she did not help her. I didn't know she was an elf though. I must have missed that in the story. But she's a 2/3 for 4, 2 green, green, blue, and then 2 generic. Gee, another 2/3. A lot of them. But whenever you cast your first spell each turn, reveal the top card of your library. If it's a non-land card, will convert a mana cost less than that spell. You may cast it without paying its mana cost. If you don't cast the revealed spell, put it into your hand. Value all day. I run Boggles in my deck, and when I saw this, I'm like, I don't have any 0-costing cards. Crap, and then I remembered, oh wait, I could just put the card in my hand and then play it. I got a lot of low-casting stuff and a couple big things in it. I'm getting very happy very quick. And then I've heard people saying, we're going to combo this with Mormir Vig, and I'm like, oh, that's wrong. That's so wrong. Especially if you're using one or the other as your commander and commander, that's just wrong. But I'm already at the 22-minute mark, so I gotta keep moving. Fleetwheel Cruiser, again, love the card, great card, very good card. I think a lot of people are liking that card. Fleetwheel Cruiser, it's a golden vehicle basically. I've heard a lot of people call it the Batmobile for good reason, because this one actually is an artifact creature when it first enters the battlefield, which means it's a 5/3 with haste and trample with crew 2 for 4 mana. It's a 4 mana 5/3 with haste and trample, and then you attack, and then you can just wait and bring a creature out next turn. By the way, as they said, you can tap a creature because it's part of the effect of the artifact, not the creature. So Summoning Sickness doesn't apply for crewing, so you can still do that. That's actually really good. Then we have a card that deals with vehicles. Start your engines, 3 generic, 1 red. Sorcery, vehicles you control become artifact creatures until the end of turn. Creatures you control get +2 until the end of turn. If you've got a lot of vehicles just sitting there waiting in the rings, because I think we've got we got a 2 mana vehicle right here. So get a couple of those 2 mana vehicles just sitting there, just revving, waiting, and then you play this. In fact, we're gonna get to the 2 mana one right now for an example. It's another 2/3. This one's flying, and it looks actually something. It's a Sky Scav, which looks something out of Thor. Basically, if you saw Thor Dark World, it looks a little bit like out of that, like the Dark Elves had, except more vibrant and pretty. Then they all become 4/3s and just flying and just overrun someone's ass. That'd be great. Worldly Maker, 3 generic artifact for pay 4, then tap, create a 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature with flying. Perfectly fine. The art's nothing really to it's not super. In fact, actually, as far as the art goes, this actually looks something like almost out of Lorwyn with the scarecrows. It's a little on the less vibrant side. Then we got a Glint Sleeve Artisan. He's a Dwarf Artificer. 3 mana, 1 white, 2 generic, 2/2, Fabricate 1. We all know what Fabricate does. He's got these cool gauntlets, though. That's pretty cool. And then we got Speedway Fanatic and our Human Pilot, Haste, whenever it crews a vehicle. I love that just terminology that it crews the vehicle. So whenever you're using it for crewing, the vehicle gains haste until the end of turn. Another good ability. I heard people laugh in the audience when I was watching the actual I was watching the actual the panel. Sorry, when the panel's like, and I'm just updating. Whoop, and I'm just updating these as I go. Hold on. Just refreshing the page, make sure anything doesn't get updated. So anyway, moving on. Then, but it should also be known that this they've even said, and it's pretty obvious at this point, but this world doesn't work like Mirrodin, where metal is literally grafted into your biology. It's still technology. Technology and biology are not the same things in this world. So the creatures, the non-artifact creatures that live in this world are still animals. They are still very much animals, and but they can still utilize things. In this case, we have Aether Storm Rock, which is a giant flying bird monster. Here we go. And flying, 2 white, 2 generic, 3/3. So right there, value. Whenever rock or another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you get a energy counter. So right off the bat, you're getting an energy with them, and plus anytime you play more creatures, you're getting energy. Whenever Aetherborn Rock attacks, you may pay 2 energy. If you do, put a +1/+1 counter on it, and tap up to 1 target creature defending player controls. At that point, this just keeps getting better and better with icing on the cake. There's not much. I mean, especially with some of the cards we're going to see in a little bit. There's the way you get energy is actually pretty easy in some ways. It's just stuff you have. It's just normal stuff you do that causes energy to appear. So right off the bat, this thing's got a lot of power. It's going to tap down your opponent. It's going to make it bigger, and it's got soon your 3/3 becomes a 4/4. Your 4/4 becomes a 5/5. All within the span of maybe a couple turns, and there you go. This one doesn't have art to it, so I'm not going to bother flipping the phone. In fact, it does have. They both have art. In fact, I'll say this: the Filigree Familiar is a fox, and it's very adorable, but they don't have the art at the moment for the NTG Salvation, which is what I'm on. Granted, I could go to like something like Mythic Spoiler or something like that, but I don't. Cultivate or Blades, 3 generic, 2 green. Fabricate 2, it's a 1/1 elf, so it's 5 mana total. Whenever Cultivate or Blades attacks, you may have the attacking creatures get, you may have other attacking creatures get +X until the end of turn, where X is Cultivator's power. So that means at most it's probably going to be a 3/3. So you attack with Cultivator, and then I suppose if you're fabricating later on, your servo would become like 4/4s. Your Throbers would become 4/4. So I can see the value in that, but even at you could have at least made it like a 1/2 or something. A 1/1 for 5 with that becomes a 3/3 with that ability. It's good. I'm not harsh. I'm not belittling it, but still, it just seems a little on the weak side. But then again, we're getting a lot of good cards in there. We have Curio Vendor, which is just a Vendalken 2/1. 1 second. 2/1 Vendalken. Vendalken, there we go. Yeah, it's pronounced Vendalken, apparently. Then we get Filigree Familiar, 3 generic, 3 of any color, 2/2, Fox, enters the battlefield, gain 2 life, dies, draw a card. Value all the way. That's basically it, value all the way. And then we apparently have the Gremlins on this plane are like Gremlins in the works. They said there's something on the plane, something. It's like when the World War II commanders are complaining about engine failure, they're blaming it on Gremlins. And these Gremlins apparently are actually really cute. They look like little human skinned elephant people. And this one's a 5/2 with no effect for 4 mana, 1 red, 3 generic. We have camels. Camels exist on this plane. 1 white, 0/4. Very pretty camel. Look at it in your pretty camel. In your pretty camel. Then we have Aether Trade Winds. 2 generic, 1 blue. Instant. Return target permanent you control and target. Okay, what are you doing? What's going on here? Okay. I think. Oh, you know what? I think the site's updating when it does that. That's what's happening. So, yeah. Anyway, target permanent you don't. Okay, so you can turn target permanent you control and target permanent you don't control to owner's hand. So it's a trade-off. We have dragons on this plane, which actually seem a bit, or actually, from what I could tell from the art in the actual panel, this is also not the best quality. Even if I already enlarged the picture, it's not the best quality. But are actually kind of cat-like, which is interesting. This dragon is a 2 generic, 2 red, sky ship stalker, 3/3 dragon. Pay a red. It's just red. 1 red, 1 red, 1 red, 1 red, 1 red, flying. So okay, flying. It has 3 abilities, each cost a single red to cast. So you can give it +1/+0 till the end of turn, first strike till the end of turn, or haste till the end of turn. If you had like 3 extra mana, you can give them all and basically make him a 4/3 first strike flying haste, which would be pretty cool. Vendorous Gear Hulk. Now again, this one is really, the quality of this is, and that's not the fault. The quality is actually just really on the low side, but it's this giant. It's a 4/4, 3 generic, 2/2, 2 green. 4/4, 3 generic, 2 green. Construct, artifact creature, trample, enters the battlefield, distribute 4 +1/+1 counters among any number of target creatures you control. So right off the bat, if you got no creature, he still comes out as an 8/8 trample for 5. That's pretty good. But then you got a bunch of other creatures to basically combine them to just throw around there. If your vehicles are artifact creatures for the turn, then you could give them the +1 counters, and those counters still stay. So you got that. You can make them bigger. Your Thropters, your Servos, your other creatures, they all become bigger. So I can definitely see the value in this. Absolutely. Good, solid card. Then Die Young. Now that's up. Now, Aetherborn, there's a theory going around that Ashiok from Theros might be an Aetherborn Planeswalker, but I don't believe that unless he's a very new Planeswalker, like birth-wise and in the story-wise, a very young Planeswalker, because apparently they live only from a couple months to a couple years. So I don't think so. Plus, even though there's similarities, he's a little too smooth and humanoid for that. But Die Young is just a very depressing, especially the artwork for that. I mean, this thing is just like mourning, and it has a rose, and it's dying young, and just when the time comes, let go. Nothing lasts forever. That is a depressing card. It's a 1 black, 1 generic though. Choose target creature. You get 2 energy counters. When you then you may pay any amount of energy. That creature gets -1 until the end of turn for each energy paid this way. So it could wipe something out possibly. And then we get to the artifact that I mentioned earlier that does with the energy. It's Woodweaver Puzzle Knot, 2 generic artifact. When Puzzle Knot enters the battlefield, you gain 3 life and get 3 energy. So it's a rare for a reason. You're getting 3 energy from that. Then you pay 2 generic, 1 green, sacrifice it, gain 3 life, and again get 3 energy. So with just some mana, in just 1 turn, you could easily get 6 energy for the cost of 5, and then 6 life for that. That's value right there, baby. Then we have 2 last cards. And there's no picture of that, unfortunately. This is not one I can get to. Live Fast, 2 generic, 1 black. You draw 2 cards, lose the life, and gain 2 energy. That's a standard card effect, but you gain the energy effect now. Then we have a rare gremlin that was spoiled a little earlier today. Territorial Devourer. Some vendors capture gremlins with the intention of releasing them on rivals. Sometimes this plan explodes in their face. Now, I want to know what the art looks like for that. 3 generic, 1 red. Trample, 2/2. When you gain 1 or more energy, this gains +2/+2 until the end of turn. So it will become a 4/4 with Trample. With the way the energy is working in this set, I can see how that could be useful. It could be a very effective card. However, the one limitation is that it's when you gain that or more. So it's not like whenever you gain an energy, you will get +2/+2. So it's not a stack effect. It's whenever you gain 1 or more energies. So it's limited, but it's still a cool card. It's a fun. I'm loving everything out of this set so far. This is looking great. I'll keep posted. I'm off tomorrow as well, so I'll keep you posted on anything else that may happen. Especially because we'll probably be getting Planeswalker here tomorrow or Monday. And I will have obviously a box office report tomorrow, but I'm gonna hold off on the superhero video. I know I'm late on that, but it's a video where I actually have to write some notes on because it's an interesting concept video I had in my head, and you'll see it when I post it. But I gotta write some notes for that. But until then, that'll be for tomorrow as well. Until then, though, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe. As always, if you want us to review something, put in the comments below. Let us know. We'll do a review of it at some point. Ideas for who wins, put those down too. I'll get them, add them to the list. Next week, it's going to either be the Wildlife or Sully. Now, Sully, I don't mind seeing. I'm getting good vibe from Sully because it's Tom Hanks. Wildlife, though, would probably be the more entertaining thing to talk about. That's for certain. But anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.